President of Catholic Answers here with us.
Hey.
Also our assistant to the host.
Assistant host, yeah. That's good.
Edgar Lujano.
How's your Lent going?
It's a day and a half old.
I feel like I've gotten, I don't know, like 6 or 7 graces already.
Let me ask you about protesting, if I could. Did you know?
I thought I was trying
how
to.
was that for a segue?
I was trying
that was
to,
pretty good, right?
I was trying to deflect.
I'm protesting soda water for Lent. How about that?
Why? You're against soda water?
I'm protesting it for the sake of Jesus, the kingdom, and my soul.
Really?
I'm just kidding. No, I just gave it up for Lent. I was trying to connect the two.
Oh,
you gave up bubbly water for Lent?
I gave up all fizzy drinks for Lent, including my C4.
All fizzy drinks. All drinks with...
What's C4? C4 is plastic explosive.
Yeah, but he drinks it with, he mixes it
you
with
drink,
carbonation.
You drink plastic explosives?
Yeah, that's right, I do.
No, the reason I brought up the protest thing is because we've been having all these protests, and it has
right
simmered down
here
a
at
bit.
Catholic Answers.
No, not here at Catholic Answers.
The staff is protesting.
You're welcome to come here if you'd like. Our address is... I was trying to think of a good address to give, but I got nothing.
You can give the regular address. You can find it online. No. Our address is online.
I don't want to encourage protesters.
No, we don't need any protesters.
No, we don't need any protesters. But here's the deal. This is what I don't know if this is what got you thinking about it, but you have, I think, given us a very productive hallway conversation recently, and it's good to bring those hallway conversations in here. And what does the church teach us about protesting, civil disobedience, all that? And the thing that brought it top of mind for me was there's all this ICE stuff going on in Minnesota, and we all saw that and heard that. And then a bunch of religious leaders walked through the airport and shut down the airport there in Minneapolis,
right.
Which that struck me, and I don't know your view on this, as immoral.
So
I think that's immoral.
Yeah, I actually don't know the details of that, and you might want to fill in, but as you describe it, there's no question. And
that what?
That it's immoral and opposed to church teaching.
And but I don't think, I think most Catholics think as Americans on this. They don't think with the church. I like with so many things. We think with this culture, we don't think with the church on things.
So I'm going to be very careful about the use of the word civil disobedience. Because I think it can cover a range of activities. But civil disobedience, as it is, or as it can be understood today, is not part of the Christian tradition.
It's not. It isn't.
Well, and in fact, you can speak to this better because these are your people up there in New England, like Thoreau, Henry David Thoreau.
Those are my people.
Well,
those are Yankees.
Yeah, well,
my people are Irish.
It's true, but you're adjacent.
You're
Yankee adjacent. You're Yankee Thoreau adjacent. Well, plus you studied English literature.
Yeah, but then Martin Luther King comes along too, and we see the triumph of the civil rights movement, and I think that there's this turning away from civil order, civic peace, respect for others. And we kind of became a society of protests, and nobody goes, well, what does the church say about that? What does the church think about all this culture of protest that we have? And I had to say, the church is not quite as sanguine about this as people seem to think. And you certainly, I'll try to express it and see if this makes sense to either of you. But take that airport one, okay? People need access to an airport. They might be getting home to a sick loved one. They might be going to a funeral. They might be going to their own medical care. They might just be going to visit their grandkids. You have no right at all to get between them and what they are attempting to do there at the airport. It's immoral to do that. And then you go, well, it's a very serious thing that they are protesting. No. That's not how we make this calculation. You don't have the right to get between them and what they need to get to.
Yeah, so the church actually does give some explicit guidance on this. On this, and in fact, I looked.
I was hoping you'd come prepared.
I looked it up before
the
show. I looked it up before the show. It's from. Hang on a second. Yeah, Gaudium et Spes.
Okay, so a great sometimes thought of as sort of a lefty document of the Second
No,
Vatican
and well, if you,
Council. I mean, I'm just giving its
Sure.
reputation. But,
Sure.
But what does Gaudium et Spes say?
Yeah, Gaudium et Spes 74. But where citizens are oppressed by a public authority overstepping its competence, a lot to unpack here, but let's just go through it. They should not protest against those things which are objectively required for the common good.
Yeah, there it is, the common good.
So, pardon me, and I'll just finish. But it is legitimate for them to defend their own rights and the rights of their fellow citizens against the abuse of this authority while keeping within those limits drawn by the natural law and the gospel. So, gospels, I'm going to assume people know what we're talking about here. There are a handful of things I think that deserve some attention. One of them is natural law, and then common good. So where citizens are oppressed by public authority overstepping its competence, they should not protest against those things that are objectively required by the common good. Now, as it happens, the church defines common good.
Okay, yes. He really did come prepared.
Well, you told me we were going to talk about this.
But I didn't know you were going to be so prepared.
Okay,
This is
well, okay.
great.
So I
love
just would
this.
like to say for the record, I'm not Tim Staples, who has
Yeah.
all this stuff memorized. He's mesmerizing with how much he has memorized. There's a whole section on the common good, beginning with paragraph 1905 and proceeding through, paragraph 917. But it's summarized here. I'm going to summarize it. 924. The common good comprises the sum total of social conditions which allow people, either as groups or as individuals. I don't really like that word individuals. I would say human persons. I think that's a bad translation. I don't actually know what the Latin says.
Right.
Either as groups or as individuals, to reach their fulfillment more fully and more easily. That's also out of Gaudium et Spes, by the way. So fulfillment here is another word that needs a little attention, because to an unbeliever or someone thinking simply on the natural level, fulfillment could mean, well, a pleasant home, I'm in a safe neighborhood, my kids can go to a decent school. By the way, I think all those things are good. I'm in favor of those things.
Right.
But when the church speaks of fulfillment, she has a particular end in mind.
And
Well,
that is salvation?
yeah,
Okay.
right. Union with God.
Right.
So,
That's right.
so these social conditions that Gaudium et Spes refers to, the sum total of these social conditions that converge is the wrong word, but I'm going to use it because I can't come up with another one now, and we're live, and why waste the time? That come together and create this world. This that has a natural benefit to it, but it is the supernatural benefit chiefly that interests the church.
Yes, that's right. But the okay, yes.
So that's what I want to say about the common good. Look, obviously that's a treatise.
Because
we don't have time for
because the person, the human person, has this. It's a good. It is a good in itself that is destined for God. It has to be respected as such. And so the common good, this comes from the catechism. I came with some catechism ones.
what are you talking about?
Good,
This is a catechism right here.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still reading Gaudium et Spes. I apologize.
This is the second edition.
This is paragraph 1907. The common good
Right.
presupposes respect for the person as such.
Yes.
So you can't just treat a person as a means to an end.
Right.
And so when you go to an airport and shut down an airport because you are protesting a policy that has nothing to do with that airport. That airport is not the locus of this policy. It is not if shutting down the airport does not stop the thing that you wanted to stop. You just went there because it would create a media scene and it would inconvenience people, and you have this Marxist attitude, frankly, which is, well, we should inconvenience those who are they need to have a taste of the injustice. That's not Christianity. And if you want to have that kind of Marxist view, why are Christian clergy there doing that? What are the Christian clergy
is
doing?
Civil disruption ever appropriate then?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe. Yeah, Sai says yes. I'm going to say possibly. I'm open to that, to being talked into that. Can I give you another example though from St. Paul
Yes,
or from
please.
from the Twin Cities? Our dear friend Dale Alquist of the Gilbert Keith Chesterton Society and founder of the Chesterton Schools Network was supposed to have his gala for the Chesterton schools that are in the Twin Cities
Okay.
at a hotel in downtown. It was either Minneapolis or St. Paul. I don't know which one. Those two cities are kind of close together. And the hotel, and it was in the middle of this stuff.
The protesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And the hotel called him up and said, "We're fearful that your event will be disrupted, so we're going to reschedule it." He had 1,000 people
Yeah.
responded, RSVP'd, to use the French, to this event.
Yeah.
Now, whatever transgressions, and I'm open to believing they were in abundance.
I don't think we're judging that at all.
That ICE was doing.
Right. We don't have to judge
So,
that.
and this is why I want to underscore. So we talked about common good. The other thing I want to talk about is natural law, which is an expression that our friends who wrote Gaudium et Spes use. It is legitimate for them to defend their own rights and the rights of fellow citizens against the abuse of this authority. Fine. This would maybe answer your question, Edgar. While keeping within those limits drawn by the natural law. Now, so that one of the things the natural law says is you have to respect private property. And you have to, as you said, and you have to respect the endeavors, the good endeavors of other individuals. So Dale Alquist hosting a gala,
Right.
that's a good thing. And according to the natural law, quite apart from the supernatural law,
He has the right to do it.
He does, and you do not to disrupt it.
No, right.
So here's my question with respect to this. Can I ask the questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you said that the airport and the action of MSP has nothing to, is not involved at all with this. Not even, maybe there's some peripheral relationship.
You could
The
come up
ICE
with something. You
agents
could always come up with
flew
an
in there,
excuse,
whatever.
sure.
Yeah, right. Peripherally, yeah. But, and very well, in total agreement with you. Absolutely no business disrupting the business of the airport. However, what about the guy?
Yeah.
And this was a real story. There was a priest in Rockford, Illinois, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe a little bit more, I can't remember his name, who drove his automobile through the front door, the back door of the abortuary in Rockford. He drove his car onto the property of and into the, and then got out with his axe and started axing the abortion machines or whatever. Now, so here's,
I don't think that's a hard one.
the answer is no, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's immoral.
Okay,
What he
good.
did was
All right,
immoral. Yeah.
all right. But
You could say, but,
no.
all you
No.
want. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that, side. But I just wanted to clarify because you said the airport has nothing to do with the transgressions of ICE.
Right.
In the case of the abortuary, that location, the owner of the location,
what you're saying.
the machines, those are closely related to the action. And even there, because of the natural laws, command for the respect of private property, for example,
Right.
it is opposed to the common good
To drive your
to
car
drive.
through.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's a disturbance of the common good. It's
Yeah.
a violation of civic peace. And just because you have, well, here, I'll read you another This, I think, will bring that full circle. The chapter 1753 of the Catechism of the Catholic Church. And everybody knows this already, but I'm going to read it. A good intention does not make behavior that is intrinsically disordered good or just. Or another way of saying that, the end does not justify the means. You can't say abortion is so serious, the usual laws of civic moral behavior are suspended, and I have to do this thing. Or you can't say this is such a grave situation, this ICE thing. we need to do something dramatic. And I realize it inconveniences people at the airport, but I'm going to shut it down anyway. No, you don't get to do a bad thing so that good may come from it. I mean, St. Paul taught us that in his letter to the Romans.
So and I'm glad you brought up the Romans, because when we talk about the Christian tradition of Christians, persecuted Christians, in relation to legitimate public authority, we see no examples in the Acts of the Apostles or in the first
in the life of Christ.
In the life of Christ. Thank you. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say in the first 3 centuries of Christianity,
Right.
what we'll just call, for the sake of this time, the age of the martyrs, we see no examples of the kind of Thoreauian civil disobedience.
No.
And some people say, well, Christians refuse to serve in the military. That does not come under this category.
Yeah, and not all Christians did refuse to serve. in the
No,
military,
and by
but
the
some
way,
did, certainly,
if they chose
and
to,
they can
it was
today.
perfectly legitimate. Yep, 100%.
Nobody
yes.
said you have to serve in the military. Well, sometimes you can get drafted, but that's a whole different set of situations. You're right. The Christians did not participate in gladiatorial games. They would refuse to go. Their neighbors would see that they weren't there. This caused civil dislocation. This is not civil disobedience. They just didn't go to the gladiatorial. They weren't outside with signs protesting. They weren't walking up and down the Roman sidewalk.
There's none of that.
We don't have any record of any of
None.
that. So
None.
what has changed in the moral nature of the universe that now we're shutting down airports as clergy, dressed as clergy, and I don't know if any Catholics were involved in this, doing a thing that is immoral in direct violation of what St. Paul taught us, which is you can't do evil so that good may come.
Right. Yeah. 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 So Edgar did ask what forms of civil disobedience are moral.
Is that how he said it?
How did you phrase it, Edgar?
Is civil disruption ever okay?
Well, I'm going to say that word disruption I'm a little unsettled with, and so I'm going to say no, disruption.
Because that's what
Disruption of the things that are necessary to the common good, or that contribute to the common good. I'm going to say no.
Well, because if we're looking at
you
the
can't
current protests in today's world that have happened within at least the last month, it's not just civil disobedience; it is civil disruption, and they're walking on highways. They're walking on in
that
airports.
walking on highways thing is so.
And they stop. Yeah, you're disrupting civilization as it is.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking more in these terms, that there are instances where you can disrupt the public peace in defense. So, for example, if somebody's shooting at the police, I'm not a police officer. I can still shoot back at them. I can defend the police officer. So me firing a gun in the middle of a city, that would certainly be a social disruption.
Yeah, but you're doing that is not.
It's not
you're
an
not
act
doing
of
it.
protest.
Yeah, you're not doing it as a public statement.
What about nowadays? What people are doing is when a police officer is making an arrest or an ICE agent's making an arrest, people are jumping in and getting involved. That's disrupting whatever process is happening.
Yeah, you can't interfere with the action of law enforcement.
Well, here I'll actually give you a reading, a thing from the Catechism of the Catholic Church. The catechism. Where's the one that I said? Catechism of the Catholic Church 2242. The citizen is obliged in conscience. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong one. That's not the one I was looking for. The authority required for the moral order derives from God. Oh no, that's still not the right one. Human society cannot be well ordered and prosperous unless it has some people invested with legitimate authority to preserve its institutions and devote themselves as far as is necessary to work and care for the good of all. That's 1897 in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Now, those other ones that I gave are limiting on that. There are limits on that.
I had dinner one time at an event with a young man who identified himself as a Catholic anarchist, and I say, you cannot be a Catholic and an anarchist.
That's what Dorothy Day tried for a while, and I agree with you. I don't think that it's possible.
No.
Like, there is legitimate authority.
Yes, yeah.
And
Read the Fourth Commandment.
The Catechism of the Catholic Church, 1899. The authority required by the moral order derives from God. Okay, so now I have to say, I'm going to admit something here. When COVID came and civil authorities were giving us a lot of orders, and you may remember this, Chris, I was very much in the camp of you must do what the civil authorities order you to do. That's what the apostles taught us.
Yes.
The emperor has a role. And now, so if the president or someone who works for the president is acting like an emperor and being imperious and all that, to me, that did not matter. We are, as Christians, commanded to follow legitimately established authority. And I feel like there's a point at which you got to go, no, I'm not I'm not following that.
Well, so,
and that point is when authority itself is no longer acting morally.
St. Augustine actually gives an answer to this. And again, you really need a morals guy in here to unpack
like
this
your brother.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. But St. Augustine says that in order for a law to be legitimate, it has to bind your conscience.
Yeah.
So when the lockdowns were in full force during COVID, it did raise a legitimate question: to what extent is this
Are you bound in conscience?
Is this binding my conscience?
Right.
For me, it was relatively short.
I think you were quicker on that than me.
I think so.
I think you did a better job on that than me.
Well,
and I think I was just really set that, look, this is directly from the apostles. They wrote it. They said it. You must respect civic authority. And so if St. Peter and St. Paul are teaching me something, it's not up to me to go, yeah, but I really want to go out. On the other hand, like you said, there's a point at which the civil authority is commanding things. They can't tell me to turn over Anne Frank. You know, they're not allowed to tell me to turn over Anne Frank. So
just for the sake of our listeners to go back
you know
to
who Anne Frank is?
Of course I know.
Okay.
So
Come on, man.
Oh, well, okay. Now, hang on a second, Edgar. We had that young kid in here today.
Evan
Youngst.
August.
Yeah. And this is not the same as not knowing who Anne Frank
He
is.
did not.
He didn't know
who Linda Ronstadt was.
But
You're gonna hate me.
that
I
one
don't
didn't know who Linda Ronstadt was
I don't know who that
either.
is. I don't know who that
What
is.
the heck?
What?
Who's that?
You don't know who Linda Ronstadt
I
is?
do not know.
Okay, hang on a second.
Oh, Canciones de mis padres? You don't know who Linda Ronstadt is?
By the way, she did have a long after her pop career. She sang in Spanish.
She sang Mexican songs.
That doesn't necessarily mean I know.
She
who
sang
that-
Mexican
No,
folk
you were
songs.
dumping this on you like racial guilt, racial guilt.
You went straight into the Spanish, man.
It's her. Wait a minute. So was it her mom or her dad? Her dad was Mexican.
I don't remember. I know that she was.
Well, I don't think
she's
it was dad if their last name is Ronstadt.
Ronstadt.
Oh,
Oh yeah, there's some German.
Might have been. I'm gonna have to look that up and find out which it was. It was her mom, but she was.
But she was the biggest star of the 1970s. Do you even know who we're talking about, Jeff? That doesn't have Jeff Cannon.
I've heard the name, but
You've heard the name
but
Linda
I would
Ronstadt.
have guessed singer, but I wasn't certain.
What is wrong with this generation?
You and I
She- one of the greatest
travel
voices
to the
ever.
beat of a different drum.
Oh yeah, that was when she was with the Stone Ponies.
With Stone Ponies. You know who wrote that song?
Ah, yes, the
Yes.
Stone Ponies.
You know who?
Nesmith.
Mike Nesmith.
Mike Nesmith wrote
So,
that
by
song.
the way, you can tell the song is written by a man. It's a man's song. It's so
Yeah,
it
it's
sounds funny when a woman sings it.
Yeah, it's
Because
trying
it's a
little too
guy.
hard.
It's a guy
Yeah.
who's playing the field. It doesn't make sense for a woman to sing about playing the field. But anyway, that's where she.
Well, that was the 70s though.
yeah, but
All right, who in the comment section actually knows who Linda Ronstadt
Ronstadt
is?
Oh my God.
she's one of the great American.
She's
female,
a truly great singer.
a
Like
gr-
she's Emmylou Harris level. That's how good she
Oh,
is.
I think better.
Better than Emmylou Harris.
Yes.
You heard it from right
Yeah,
here.
I think better.
You see it on his face. I don't know who Emmylou
Well, I
Harris
mean,
is.
she went on to do Pirates of Penzance, and she was
What
fantastic.
a great talent she was.
Yeah.
And,
So I'm going to say she's at least as well known as Anne Frank.
Chili Dog says her band became the Eagles. Is that true?
yeah.
Yeah.
they became the Eagles.
Yeah, it's
Do you know
true.
who the Eagles are?
It is true.
Didn't they sing?
They're not as good as Linda Ronstadt.
Some of
Let me just tell you right
like
now.
Glenn Fry,
What-
Don
what's-
Henley. She
What's a popular song by the Eagles? Isn't it like
Take It
Peaceful, Easy
Easy. It was Jackson Brown, Warren Zevon. All these guys worked
Hotel
together.
California? That's the one.
Oh,
I-
Hotel California, yeah.
That is the one Eagles song I loathe.
Really?
I loathe that song. In any case, how
I don't know how we got on to Linda Ronstadt.
she's a great singer, and I love her music.
She has an album cover where she's in shorts and roller skates.
Thank-
Every boy in the 70s loved that album cover.
Yes.
Like that's the first thing I think of when I think of Linda
Thank you,
Ronstadt.
Pino
And
with P.O.
she's a great
She
singer.
covered Buddy Holly songs. She did That'll Be the Day. She covered that.
Can I
Buddy
just say, from your previous comments, Sean Ovision said, "I wish Cy would express his opinion on this pre-show."
Was that about Linda Ronstadt or about?
I think it was the previous conversation, but still.
So I wanted, because you brought up COVID and you said that you and I were at something of a different pace on this question. And for the sake
Yeah.
of our listeners, maybe give a little bit more clarity. I was very eager to get people back into the building.
Yeah, I was very eager to stay home. So
Yeah, and of course we had some concerns about how serious is this, and we didn't,
Right.
we weren't that certain, and we took precautions in the building. But I decided that in the best interest of the work of the apostolate, the sooner we were back together and working together, our work was going to be it was going to bear more fruit.
Right.
Yeah, and so that was the.
I think that was the right call too. I do look back on it and I think that was. I mean, this is
But
California.
it could have been the wrong call. I mean, it could turn out to be something very serious, and then I would.
Well,
have,
you all had a meeting one day, and then you all got COVID. Remember that? Remember that meeting where you all got COVID?
was that-
I wasn't in that meeting, but you, Sorensen, Donna, everybody. It was like, what happened? They had a meeting, and they're all dead now.
No, was
they're-
that when
they're
was
not
that
coming back?
Was that when Noelle Maring was in the
No,
building?
I think Noelle Maring gave
Yeah,
us
she
gave the whole
brought,
building.
she brought COVID.
I
into
think
the
that was my
building.
first week here.
Was it?
It might
Yeah.
have been. Yeah, I think Noelle Maring gave us all COVID.
I got COVID way after that, and I got really sick with
It hung
it.
So
out.
are you
But-
saying that it was immoral for people to decide to go to the beach by themselves when they were told not to go during COVID?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
Well,
at
you
the
said it's
time,
at the time.
I was very rigid in my thinking. And my thinking was the instruction from the apostles is very clear. I don't like any of this, but I'm going to do all of it and then what I didn't do was balance it with what Augustine taught us, which is, but for a law, and when the president tells you to do something, in the technical sense, it's not a law in America, but in the moral sense, that's what we mean by law. So when the governor of California starts telling you can do this, you can't do that.
As he's sitting at the French Laundry.
Well, yes, okay, sure, all of that. I mean, but I don't care about hypocrisy. I really don't. Other people's hypocrisy doesn't affect whether or not we're responsible to
That's
do
a
what the
very
apostles
important point, Si.
taught us to do.
Yep.
Like we have to do what the apostles taught us no matter what. But then looking at it in time, I came to Chris's position, which is these are immoral impositions on society.
They
you
are.
can't
They
do this
were
to
they were
society.
opposed to the common good.
And I think the nation of Sweden showed everybody that is correct.
And by the way, I wasn't telling the staff of Catholic Answers, let's go up to Sacramento and throw a brick through the governor's palace or whatever it's
no,
called.
we did that for fun, but okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, let's come back to work and support one another and get back
Right.
to the business
Right.
of spreading the gospel. Now, I do want to say there is a kind of protest that I tend to very much favor.
Which is?
The boycott.
Oh, you do? I'm not so good on boycott.
Now,
but okay.
in the main now, but this isn't necessarily civil disobedience. But if general,
No, a boycott is not civil disobedience.
no, but it is a kind of protest.
How is
Yeah.
how is it not a civil disobedience? If
No,
you're-
you don't have to buy grapes. Nobody
yeah.
said you had to buy them.
Exactly. So there used to be. I don't know if they
That
still.
was a Cesar Chavez reference, by the way.
Oh, I know.
You're too younger.
No, but I
He
learned
knew
about it in the
Linda
Valley.
Ronstadt.
Hey,
I bet he did.
I know about the
Didn't
lettuce
they
boycotts.
meet?
Come on, man.
Wasn't there like a meeting between Cesar Chavez and Linda Ronstadt?
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. Somebody should write that play.
Cesar Chavez.
You know
and
how
Linda
big,
Ronstadt.
you know how people, Edgar, people are always writing plays about how two people who never met, or you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, you know what I'm talking about, Si.
Yes, I do. There's the famous play of who wrote the play? No, it was a book that Peter Kraft wrote. John Kennedy meets C.S. Lewis and Aldous Huxley, I think, in Purgatory.
Oh, okay, yeah, things like that.
Because I think they all died on the same day, or maybe Huxley didn't. Maybe it's somebody else. They all died on. But did you all know that C.S. Lewis died the same day John Kennedy died? That's why nobody knows when C.S. Lewis died, because it didn't make the news. Nobody knew he was dead for years.
So here's why. There was this outfit. I don't know if they still exist. It was a good Catholic outfit called the Saint Antoninus Institute. They may yet exist. You'd have to look them up and see. But even before the internet existed, they used to publish a list annually of corporations that supported Planned Parenthood. And so General Mills was always on there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just, you can send a note to General. Now, actually, I think General Mills is off that list now. But at the time, you could send a note to General Mills and say, look, I have 3 children. We're not going to buy Cheerios. Because that's a General Mills product, Cheerios.
Yeah, that's a perfectly legitimate thing.
And then there's other reasons not to eat Cheerios, too, I've since learned. But you could just say, we're not going to buy Cheerios because you're giving money to, and that's a boycott.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Isn't that a boycott? Now, I'm going to tell you another one. Can I tell you another one?
Yeah.
So I went to a conference in Canada. This was before I worked for Catholic Cancers. It was when I was still at the Rockford Institute, and the Bishop of Denver was there. Was it Stafford? Was going way back?
Stafford?
Before 3 before. What was his name? Not Stafford. Was it Stafford?
Before Chaput, you mean?
Even before Chaput, the one more. Anyway, you'll have to look up who that was. Whoever was the Bishop of Denver, and he was speaking at this thing. And
James Stafford.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Archbishop of Denver.
So, lovely guy. He was giving a talk about the social, and in the course of his talk, he brings up the social justice problem of the ski resorts, which are in his diocese, you have these places like Vail, which is a place where people go to ski.
Yeah, I know. Vail, Colorado.
Yeah, Beaver Creek or whatever. They're
I know
very,
Vail.
very famous ski places. The people who actually live there have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because you can't live there unless you do have a lot of money. It's like
Right.
a Disneyland. It's not actually a real town.
Right.
But anyway, so it's a resort. It's a resort. The people who serve these places and change the sheets or take out the trash or do the cooking or whatever, they live miles away, basically in, I was going to say shanty towns, but trailer parks, basically.
Okay,
So
yeah.
there is an inequity here in the universal distribution of goods.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
you can't have those unsightly poor around.
He's talking about, and so in the Q&A, I said to him, I was a young kid at the time, and I said, all right, well, Excellency, I share your concern about the social justice inequities associated with America's ski resorts. And then I said, would you encourage the faithful of Denver not to patronize the Vail ski resort? And just like immediately says, I don't favor boycotts. And then all these people applauded. And it was like, well, why? Why don't you?
Yeah.
Why don't you?
Well, I have to tell you why I have a negative feeling about boycotts. It's that 90% of the time when someone tells you about a boycott, they're yelling at you like, why are you drinking Starbucks? And you're like,
Oh, come
what?
on. That's one you can't do.
I don't know anything about Starbucks. I don't drink Starbucks. I'm just using it as an example.
The Starbucks-
Why are you shopping at Walmart? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, write me a letter. You can't assume that I know every evil deed that's going on. You know why I'm using whatever product you're currently complaining about? Because you didn't do your job and tell other people. Like, I am so sick of the busybodies constantly telling you, why do you have a bag from Target? Okay, explain to me what's wrong with Target. Nobody has explained what's wrong with Target to me.
I can dispatch
okay.
with all 3 of
You
those
and your-
immediately.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Immediately, Starbucks, the Starbucks guy,
Yeah.
the head of Starbucks a number of years ago, I don't remember his name, maybe they probably have a new one now, but he stood in front of the shareholders and said, we're here to celebrate alternate marriages or, whatever it's called, non-marriage, or, marriages that aren't marriages.
Okay.
Yeah.
So am I boycotting Starbucks? Am I now boycotting Starbucks? I mean, I don't drink coffee or tea almost ever. But
Only if they ever get rid of their brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso.
so is that good? It's like
It's that good.
yeah.
Target is an easy one. Now, I think Target.
I think I've heard about the
Target
Target
has
stuff.
dialed back. I mean, I don't even know if I can say the stuff that Target was doing with the bathing suits.
No,
and
I
everything.
actually walked into Target and walked out of Target one time. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like,
You know what's
Yeah.
funny is it depends on which Target you go to and which neighborhood.
Yeah, the Santee, East County, San Diego.
weren't doing that.
They were not doing those bathing suits.
Yeah, but what do you see what I'm saying about this constant? don't do this, don't do that. Like, you just have to live at some point. I mean, stop bossing me around about everywhere that I can
but
shop.
what about the boycott of just not showing up? So about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I guess. So when I was in high school, there was a movie that came out called A Day Without a Mexican. Do you guys ever remember?
I remember
hear about
this.
Yeah. And it was
Linda Ronstadt was in it. Just kidding.
and it basically was
I've
like,
never heard of this movie.
It's a horrible movie. It's a low budget horrible movie, but the scenario is
Can't
what
be
if there
worse
was a
than
political
it
movie?
cannot be worse than some of the movies that
political.
Cy has recommended to me.
I do like bad movies.
Now, in this scenario, on one of the day, on a random day, all the Mexicans disappear. And with that, there goes all
What about
these
mestizo?
crops. Well, yeah, that's part of it. They're part of Mexicans, yes. All the crops start dying. Nobody's cleaning toilets. So like all the stereotypical jobs, like they just kind of go vacant. So because of that, that actually started what's it called? Is it May 1st boycotts?
Oh, May 1st would be the day to do it.
Yeah. So nowadays, what they'll do is, and especially with ICE going on, I guarantee you it's going to happen this year as well, is students walk out of class, which is what I didn't do.
On Day Without a Mexican?
On Day Without a Mexican.
Like
and
Mexican-American students walk out?
Mexican-American students walked out of class, Mexicans not going to work that day, to show the impact that of the necessity of Mexicans in
I don't know
in
that
the
it's that
US.
big. Just to let you all know, I didn't even know this was happening. So,
And you live in San
I'm
Diego.
wondering how big an impact this is having.
So in this situation, is that morally okay to just not show up to work, not show
sure.
up to class
I think it's
for
fine.
student?
Well, I don't know about not show up to class. That's a different thing. But you don't have to go to work.
Why is that different?
I don't think you can just not show up to work.
Hey, you take a day off.
Oh, okay. Did you use a vacation day?
No, you just didn't show up. It was a boycott.
Okay, well then then it's okay
you
if
get fired.
if your boss fires you. I mean,
You can't just not show up to work.
If all your employees are Mexicans, though, then what are you going to do?
it's like, can we not have Day Without a Mexican at Catholic Answers? I'm opposed to Day.
You know, there's only two that would just not show up.
No,
right?
but
Wait, let me think. That's not quite right.
but you and Diana
I know
are,
who the two you're talking about, but I don't think that's quite right.
I do not want to do Day Without a Mexican at Catholic Answers.
No, but we could do Day Without an Italian because
Oh.
like just one day without the Italians here would be like.
Is Czech Italian?
No, Czech's not Italian, but Aguilaro is.
Ugly Laura,
We wouldn't have to deal with it for a
Versillo.
whole day.
Versillo, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Versillo? Oh, we're
Venditti,
definitely doing
right?
Day Without an Italian.
If we did Day Without Irish here,
Yeah.
we have
From
quite a
Catholic
mix.
Answers Live,
Day
Edgar
without
filling
a
in
mutt.
for Cy Kellen.
Day Without Lebanese. Donna wouldn't show up.
But what if you made a movie called Day Without an American, and then you just show what the world was like without America for a day? Like, you can't get rid of any group of people and the world goes on fine. Like, Day Without the Chinese. The world would come to a screeching halt without the Chinese. Like, I think that's a good movie. Like, it's not but it's kind of lame propaganda because, like, name a group you could just get rid of and the world would be fine with it. No, don't.
Hold on.
No, you're going to lose your job if you do.
No, I
But
will say this.
20-somethings. I know what you're saying.
But what if it's not? What if it's not a specific demographic in terms of race or nationality? But what if it's a group of a profession like nurses? There's a big nursing strike happening here in San Diego out of Kaiser.
That should not happen.
Why?
Because nurses are essential. People die when nurses aren't there.
You're right.
I don't think you should do that.
So
I think there's certain jobs you
So-
take on, like firemen. No, you don't get to go on strike. I'm sorry, you
So
don't.
what do you do, throw 'em in jail if,
like a U.S. Marine? No, you don't get to go on strike.
Jeff Camp shaking is nodding his head. He's
I-
saying
I-
yes,
I'm-
throw them in jail. So throw nurses in jail that don't show up to work.
I don't know what's good it's going to do to throw them in jail. I'm saying that the nurse should understand they are the nature. Now, I'm sure there's lots of nurses that you can take it. You can go away for a while, and everybody's going to be okay.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Cy, that certain professions failing to show up for work is an offense against the common good.
It is. Yeah, that's right.
And nurses definitely fit into that category. I don't think public school teachers do. I
Probably
think,
not,
I think the
but-
day they show is probably.
Oh, no, don't say it like that. No,
Yeah, but no, I don't think there's the same gravity that attaches.
Right.
Teachers, I apologize. God
radio
bless you
talk
for the
show
good,
hosts.
for the good
We
work
can
that
have
you
a
do.
radio talk show host strike, and
yeah.
everybody's going to be fine. You can't have a nurse.
But you're
strike.
right. Firemen, first responders,
Police.
Yeah.
You can't do it. I mean, there might be modified ways of protesting, but you cannot leave people sick and dying and not care for them.
Do you think professionals should be allowed to should be allowed to unionize?
I haven't thought it through deeply, but it does seem problematic.
My gut is that unions are for labor.
That was the traditional thing for that labor was. That's what unions were
like
for.
the union of federal employees seems a little odd to me.
Yeah, I have to say I haven't thought it through very deeply though. I have thought through. I mean, clearly unions are not what the church intends them to be.
No.
I mean, one of the basic Catholic teachings on unions is unions should not be partisan. Well, clearly unions are partisan. All over this country, unions are partisan. The church has taught against that for more than a century. So people are always like, well, the church is very pro-union. Yeah, the church is very pro-union, but within boundaries that protect the union members and protect society from out of control. There has to be limits on everything. I'm one of those people. I don't believe in unbridled business. I don't believe in unbridled unions. I don't believe in unbridled anything. Bridled. That's what we need. Everybody needs to be bridled. That's called society. That's called civil life.
I believe in unbridled self-giving, Si.
Oh,
Isn't that in the gospel?
that is in the gospel.
He's always
You're right.
bringing back to Lent. I like that. That's good.
Excuse me, I got this cough.
I do too. It hangs on
It
forever.
won't let go. It won't let go of me.
No.
You know what does it though? This is why I was thinking about
Talking.
No, Starbucks. Remember when we were doing the pledge drive in here? I couldn't talk. So people told me if you go to Starbucks and you order this drink called a medicine ball, which has got ginger and lemon and tea in it, and maybe something else, it's like magical. And I was drinking one of those to get through every single day to get through the pledge drive.
Does it work?
It was really good. It suppressed the cough. Maybe the honey in it was what did it.
Honey does do that.
But I didn't have that Starbucks glass out here while I'm trying to raise money. I was like, that ain't happening.
Brought to you by
I'm not
Starbucks.
sure why I'm not supposed to. I didn't know the story that you told. I just feel like people should be left alone to be ignorant. Like, I do think a certain amount of ignorance is a good thing, not a bad thing. And if you're one of those people who's up on every corporation and up on every politician, are you really better than other people? No, I think you're wasting your life.
I think there are some things, though, that you actually say. I'm not prepared to accept what you just said.
Well, you're wrong.
If I understand, then I must misunderstand it. You're not required to be up on everything, but I do think living in a society and having at the core of your heart and the actions that come forth from your heart in pursuit of the common good does require a certain need to be informed.
Yeah,
so
but it's very low. It's not high. I mean, I don't have to know who the 10 senators from Tennessee are and whether I'm supposed to be mad at one of them.
See, I actually
there's people that are.
that's a flip answer. I don't need to either, because by the way, Tennessee has 2 senators, or you mean state senators?
No, I meant the 2 senators from Tennessee.
Oh, I thought you said the 10 senators from Tennessee.
No, if I did, I misspoke. What I'm saying is, there are people who are like.
Well, isn't
junkies
one of
this
them
stuff.
Rand? Isn't Rand? Oh no, he's
Rand Paul's
Kentucky.
one. No,
He's
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yeah. I don't know who.
Kentucky and Tennessee are 2 different states.
This is good to know. See, this is what I'm telling you.
Now,
I'm not aware of a lot of stuff.
So here's the thing. I don't have confidence that Walmart was the third case that you brought up. I don't have confidence, and I'm not telling you I never shop at Walmart, but I typically try to avoid it. And there's a reason. One reason is why I find going inside a Walmart to be an unpleasant experience. It's very big.
That's the way I feel about Costco.
Oh, I know.
I feel like I just want to run out of there.
I do.
when
It's
go into
so
Costco.
big, and Home Depot and Lowe's and all of them. They're so big. I just hate how big they are. But in any case, it's not clear to me that Walmart has its employees' best interests at heart.
Yes, and I realize that there's some,
And also
I
that
have
they,
some responsibility for that, but my responsibility for that is extremely low.
well, how about, okay, then what about the question of the practice of Walmart? Now they're ubiquitous now, but when Walmart was growing, the deliberate growth practice of Walmart was move into mid-size American towns with small businesses, small family-owned businesses, underprice them, like the local pharmacies, for example, until they go out of business.
What did you want me to do about that?
I mean, this is almost like saying we can't do anything about AI. Actually, you can. You don't have to use it. I mean, you can patronize the family businesses.
But I come at this from a different direction than you. I think if you are a consumerist, you are living a sinful life. If you just stop being a consumerist, buy what you need, eat what you need, you cannot control the vast. But if we would all stop with the consumerism and live basic, simple lives, most of these problems would just go away. It's not my responsibility to know what every business is doing. It's tiring to be around people who do know all of that and constantly tell you about it. The fact is, if you're telling me about this, the thing I'm probably likely to say to you is, look, I buy a lot less stuff than you do. I have a lot fewer material attachments than you do. When you get to my level, then let's have a talk. And I'm not saying that's the truth. I would be probably lying when I said that. I'm just saying the point I'm trying to make is you're barking up the wrong tree if you're going around yelling at everybody about where they're shopping. I have to buy my electricity from San Diego Gas and Electric. They're probably criminals. I don't know. Maybe they're not criminals.
Not as bad as PG&E.
I just don't use that much electricity. I have a 950 square foot house. That's how I live. And that to me is way more effective than constantly knowing every in and out of which store is good and which store is bad. Let me tell you something. None of the stores are good. None of them are that bad. They just are what they are.
That one Catholic girl says, "Oh, Walmart managers stink, but I still love my Great Value yogurt." That's Vanessa.
Thank you.
What's great value? Is that the Walmart brand?
It's a Walmart brand, yeah.
That's awful yogurt. She should eat Ziggies or Siggies. Vanessa, what the heck? Have you tried Siggy?
Have you tried Great Value?
I'm sure
Maybe it's the greatest yogurt in the world. How do you know?
Costco Greek yogurt is probably the best.
No,
Is it good?
no,
Yes.
Siggies. Siggies is that Scandinavian yogurt.
It is, but you're paying an arm and a leg for it.
It's better than Greek yogurt.
I'm going to look up and see if Siggy's has committed any corporate crimes, and I'm going to tell you about it right now.
They
Ruin it.
That's like I kind of am sympathetic to some of what you're saying, Chris. But what's wrong with my general theory of look, just live, don't be a consumerist, don't overdo it, and treat people with respect. You don't have to know what every politician and every business is up to.
there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good practice, and I want everyone listening to the show to follow Sai's advice to give up their consumerist lifestyle, and also to encourage others to as well. That said, I do think that Catholics should think more in terms of the Church's teaching on social justice and how it may be influenced by their shopping habits.
Okay, I appreciate how you said that. That's right. Yeah, because you can't just abandon your neighbors to situations that are unjust.
I mean, okay, Sai, here's you did kind of give the sense that this is inevitable. Maybe it is inevitable. Maybe the losing battles are still worth fighting. However, sooner or later, Amazon is going to run everything.
Yeah.
What is Amazon not running right now?
Yeah.
I mean, they
Grocery
started.
stores are shutting down.
They started, and then you have what the folks on NPR have a word for this, where there's no grocery store. There's an
food desert.
Food desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been to a food desert. Other than the actual desert, I've never seen a food desert.
Well, the Amazon, what is it? Amazon Fresh.
Just east of here, 10 miles, is a food desert.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that is a thing. You do get to a place where there was a grocery store, but there's not now.
Right. But a lot of that has to do with the suburbs, too. I mean, when you think about, like someone was waxing on the other day about how Europeans eat. about how they go to the market. I can't remember who it was, but someone about they go to the market and they get the food for the day and they cook
but
the food.
there's a social element to that.
Yeah, but that's because they live much closer to one another. They have a place where they can go and do that.
And often they can walk to it.
Yeah,
we
don't live that way.
As a
here.
kid, that was a culture shock to me. So going to the small town where my family's from in Mexico, it's in the canyons of Mexico, and there's no grocery store. You go to the local market. So you get your vegetables at one, you go to the butcher shop, get your meat there, and you have to stop at multiple locations. But it's all in walking distance because it's your...
Yeah, go for a walk and get your food for
yeah,
dinner.
Exactly.
And I do think that's a better way to live. I don't know how we're going to get there. I think then you start talking about the problem is zoning. I mean, a lot of this suburban zoning is evil.
The markets have to crash here
They
in the States
intentionally
in order
make
for
it
to
so that
happen.
people are far from everything.
I do think you can.
What's that sound?
Oh, the music. The music's playing. Yeah.
You can. My sons live that way in St. Paul, or in Minneapolis. They walk. Nicholas's rule is I want to be able to walk to my parish, to my grocery store, to the liquor store, and the local bar.
You know, this is very close to what
Priorities.
Missy and I were talking about. You know, we're
In which order? I'm not always certain. In Nick's case,
hit the bar on the way to church or on the way back. Which
You know,
which
their
are we doing?
pastor is Father Spencer Howe. He's a great priest. He's the G.K. Chesterton Society
Oh.
priest. He's
Yeah.
a very fine man. Yeah, no, they have a great parish.
But I would like to live that way, but I have to leave where I live. Like you can't.
Well, actually, you live more like that than I do. You live in the old part of Oceanside.
Yeah, that's true. Like I can walk to.
You
I
could
can
you
walk
could
to
walk
Primo's
to, you
Market.
could walk to Star of the Sea if you wanted, right?
Well, it'd be a long walk. It's
How long? A mile?
no. I think more like 3 miles.
Oh, okay.
So
All
to
right.
go to Mass and back would be 6 miles
Okay.
for me. But yeah, I mean, if we could move closer to all that stuff, but it's certainly true that the more you go inland in California, the more suburban it gets. The more suburban, the worse the zoning is. They zone like hundreds of square miles to have nothing in them except people's houses.
Well, the
That's terrible.
the culprit here is the automobile.
Well,
I mean, you're saying the markets have to crash. The automobiles have to disappear.
Well, we may be getting there. I mean, maybe that's maybe sometimes technology,
Well, cars may disappear, but
Well, they're getting so expensive, but also young people have no interest in learning to drive.
I know it's weird.
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's
I find that weird.
yeah.
I couldn't
how was it
wait.
when you were
I could
16?
not wait to get my driver's
Me
license.
either. I couldn't wait.
I got my driver's permit at 15 and a half as soon as I could get it. And then at 16, I got my license.
My parents were tyrants. None of us could get our driver's license till we were 17.
Really?
They were. It was like I was the one child in the universe at 16 who was not getting his driver's license.
Your parents were probably wise.
Oh, totally
I mean, 'cause
wise.
16 years old is crazy
Way too
undeveloped.
young to be behind the wheel
Yeah,
of a car. No, I just thought they were complete tyrants at the time.
There's a girl that I went to school with that I think still till this day she doesn't have her driver's license, and it's the weirdest thing. But now I talk to my cousins who are in high school, and there's zero desire for a license, and their siblings who are in their 20s don't want to drive. It's almost like there's an anxiety to drive. It's weird.
Yeah,
It is weird.
Yeah.
It does seem to be an anxiety.
I mean,
driving.
if I never had to drive a car again, it wouldn't bug me.
Oh, me neither. I
love
hate it.
driving.
Well, you've got that big hot rod. Oh, you traded in your hot rod.
Oh, it's sitting in the parking lot. If you want to buy it, it's there.
Does it have a baby seat in it?
I'm selling it.
Are you selling it? I didn't notice you have a sign on it. Is it for sale?
There's a sign somewhere on it.
You're not
Yeah.
really selling it.
I'm selling it.
You're
Yes, I
not.
am.
You're lying.
Look, it's my last goodbye to my.
Get
my
yourself. Let me
bachelor
give you a
days.
piece of it. Does it have a CD player?
Yes.
Get yourself a Linda Ronstadt CD and enjoy that thing, man, before you get rid of that car.
The day Edgar gets a minivan, I am going to laugh so hard.
It's not going to happen.
It is. It
I'm
is.
going to get an SUV with the third row seat before I get a minivan. It's not going to happen.
No.
I don't care
You
what
can't-
happens in my back. I don't care.
You can't
I
believe the
refuse.
convenience of the minivan once the kids get
It
to a
is the
certain age.
smartest vehicle ever designed in the history of automobiles.
I will give you this. We were coming back from Christmas, and we got an Uber, and it was a minivan. And I sat in the front seat, and Lena was in the back with the car seat with the baby. And I turned to her and I said, I really despise how much I'm liking this right now.
it's happening. It's happening. Yeah.
Well, I think we're done.
We are.
Boy, that's fun talking to
We
you. two.
covered a
I
lot of
enjoy-
important moral material there.
The most important thing is, young people, you have an opportunity for one of the great joys that you didn't know was out there. She's called Linda Ronstadt. Discover her. She's wonderful. Thank you, gents. We'll come back in a few minutes and we'll do the live show. Who we got? We got Tim first or
Tim first, Tom second hour.
Tim and then Tom coming up. Is it an Ask Me Anything?
Ask me anything.
Ask Me Anything.
AMA.
Catholic Answers Live. Right back after this. Peace.